Hi folks, HR Funk here, and it may not look like it, but I'm doing an experiment. If you spend any amount of time looking around on my channel, or if you're a subscriber to the channel, you've probably seen some of my previous videos using the product Duracoat. If so, you already know that Duracoat is a firearms refinishing product manufactured by a company called Lauer Custom Weaponry. I've used it in several videos to apply a camouflage pattern to some of my rifles and shotguns. I've also done one or two straight refinishing jobs that are not camouflage, but just applying a different color and refinishing the firearms. If you're not familiar with Duracoat, one of the claims to fame that it has is that it prevents rust and corrosion on your firearms once it's been applied. Recently, on Lauer Custom Weaponry's blog, which is not surprisingly called the Durablog, they ran an experiment where they applied Duracoat to several metal panels and put those panels inside of a salt spray chamber. The results were interesting, but one of the things that occurred to me when I was looking at that is that my firearms, when I take them out of the safe and go hunting or take them out to use them, do not go into a salt spray chamber. They go into nature, into the elements. So although a salt spray test is interesting from an academic standpoint, it really doesn't tell me about the performance of Duracoat in real world situations or in a real world environment, which is very hard to say for some reason. So what I did when I applied the last Duracoat camo pattern to the rifle that I refinished back in February, the one that was the OCP2 Scorpion pattern, and if you haven't seen that video and you're interested, go back a few videos on my channel and you'll find it. But during the course of doing that, I also applied Duracoat to a plain old railroad spike. And this is what I'm using as the basis for my experiment. Now, in order to properly apply Duracoat, what I should have done was blasted all the rust off of this railroad spike, degreased it, and then applied multiple layers of the Duracoat on the railroad spike. I did not do that. I simply applied it directly over top of the rust on this railroad spike. I've got 3 or 4 layers. I believe this is multi-beige that's on here currently. And I then put the railroad spike in the table outside my house here, just in one of these little holes in there. And that's where it's been since February. Today is June 1st. So this has been out here for 3.5 months. It's been exposed to extreme cold, it's been exposed to snow, it's been exposed to rain. We're now getting some hot and humid weather. And in 3.5 months, I'm going to hold this over here, I cannot see a bit of rust starting to form or starting to come through the Duracoat on the railroad spike. Now something else I did, as you can see down here, I did not coat the entire spike. I intentionally left it fade out along the bottom here so that I could look and see if the rust would start to eat its way up from this lower area and then move higher and higher on the spike. So far, it has not done that. So I want to emphasize that in my application, I did everything wrong. In fact, I wanted to give Duracoat the greatest potential to fail in this experiment, and I know that if it doesn't fail in this particular experiment, that I can expect it to perform even better when it's applied properly. Now, I cannot take this and bang it on the table or anything else because the underlying rust is going to chip off and the Duracoat on top along with it. So this is not an impact test. This is strictly a rust and corrosion test. And so far, after 3.5 months, the Duracoat is performing very, very well. I cannot see any rust coming through, any rust starting up, any rust showing anywhere on the railroad spike. And I'm just going to leave this thing out here on my table. Might leave it here for 6 months, might leave it here for a year, and eventually see if I start to see rust. And if I do, I'll let you folks know. And if not, I'll let you know that as well. So if you're interested at all in Duracoat and you're wondering how well it performs with regard to preventing rust and corrosion, it would appear at this point that you can leave your firearms out for at least 3.5 months exposed to the elements. Got a motorcycle going by. You can leave your firearms out for at least 3.5 months exposed to the elements and not have to worry too much about rust forming on the metal surfaces. So there you have it. That's my video for now. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. And until next time, good shooting. Bye-bye.